So manufacturer TCL, not to be confused with 90s R&B girl group TLC, which I do all the time, is still best known for its TV tech, though it has been trying to smush its way into the smartphone market these last couple of years with its own brand handset after gaining a good bit of experience crafting BlackBerry and Alcatel blowers. And TCL has already launched a whole bunch of 20 series smartphones here in 2021, the most premium of which is this shiny wee bugger here, the TCL 20 Pro 5G, boasting all kinds of pretty solid specs for just 499 quid. But is this handset a true rival to the likes of the Pixel phones and the OnePlus Nodes of the world? Well, I'm going to whip it on out of the box, take you on a full-on tour of that hardware and that software to see what you can expect. And for more on the latest greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Alright, so let's see what we get in here besides the phone. You've got one reasonably skinny power adapter with fun pop-up action, one Type-C USB cable, a surprisingly square pokey pin, and yes, you love to see it, one rubber johnny case to slap the TCL 20 Pro 5G inside of to help keep it safe. So that's the box. Now let's check out the TCL 20 Pro 5G and all its raw naked glory. And I've got to say, I'm quite liking the sort of premium style, and for that £500 price point, it's actually fairly reminiscent of a OnePlus 9 Pro, something like that. It's a glass panel front and back as well, and then sandwiched in the middle is a metal chassis. And you can grab the TCL 20 Pro 5G in a bog standard grey finish, but let's face it, why would you when this gorgeous aquatic style marine blue version is available? It's a two-tone finish here on the arse end, so the majority of it has got a lovely matte finish to it, which is still nice and smooth, but also repels those nasty finger greasy scuff marks. While the rest of that back end is very shiny indeed, and unfortunately this does pick up sort of greasy scuffs rather easily, but at least it's only a thin strip, and it adds a bit of character to that back end. And what I really like as well, something that makes the TCL 20 Pro 5G actually quite unique these days, is the fact that those cameras are perfectly flush with the surface as well. There is absolutely bugger all camera bump whatsoever. 190 grams, the TCL 20 Pro 5G has got decent heft to it as well. Sadly, I don't think it's Gorilla Glass up front or around back, so there was no mention of any kind of durable glass construction in the spec sheet, and there's no IP rating for water and dust resistance either. Now, before I get the phone all set up, I'll just take a quick squint at that SIM tray down below as well. And what you have here is a compact double-sided SIM tray. You can actually put two SIM cards in it at once. Otherwise, alternatively, that second SIM slot can be used for a microSD memory card up to 1 TB in size to expand the onboard storage. Alright, so the TCL 20 Pro 5G is all set up and ready for action, and like a lot of smartphones I've reviewed recently, it's got the latest, freshest Android 11 on there, of course. Reasonably sort of stock, but you do have the TCL UI version 3 on top, which makes some aesthetic changes and also adds in quite a few extra bonus bits. So for instance, one feature that's always handy with modern smartphones is a proper dedicated one-handed mode. That just shrinks everything down, makes it much easier to manage. You'll also notice that the apps tray is laid out very differently from your standard Android effort. It's actually all sorted by category by default, but you can change that by jumping up here and just sort it by name as usual. And yeah, the TCL 20 Pro 5G does commit that cardinal sin of coming packed with absolute crapware like Booking.com. You've got lots of other tools on here, like the Speed Manager if you want to check your broadband connection, see how good that is. You've got direct access to TCL support, which is always nice. You've got an app that helps you to switch your phone by copying across all of your apps and data and everything. You've got TCL Plus, which is mostly just a pointless hub, to be honest. You even have an IR remote app to make use of that built-in IR blaster, which of course is entirely appropriate and unsurprising given TCL is a TV company first and foremost. And over here on the left edge of the 20 Pro 5G, you've got what TCL terms the Smart Key. And you can set this up to perform a wide range of features. So for instance, a single tap will open up split screen mode for me. So for instance, you can enjoy a good bit of text burn action while browsing your favorite website. While a double tap will enable or disable that auto rotate. And you can set up exactly what this button does by diving into your apps tray and going to the Smart Key app. And then you can customize exactly what the key does for a single press, a double press, or a long press, with absolutely loads of bloody options. So one of the highlights of the TCL 20 Pro 5G, again, not a massive shocker, is that 6.67-inch AMOLED display. It's a full HD plus resolution panel, not supremely crisp given the size of the thing, but I certainly enjoyed kicking back with a good bit of Netflix, Disney Plus, all that good stuff. You can expect gorgeous poppy colours on the default display settings, but you can tone that down. You've actually got a just noticeable colour difference of 0.8 here, so fairly accurate colour representation when you are checking out your photos, things like that. Not quite as accurate as some super premium smartphones like the OnePlus 9 Pro and Xiaomi's Mi 11 Ultra, but still nice natural looking visuals. visuals. And TCL's Next Vision AI visual enhancement tool is once again on board. This can adjust display settings dynamically based on what you're actually watching at the time. I mapped this to the smart key so I could activate it or deactivate it with just a quick tap. As you can see, it makes a subtle difference. I didn't really notice a huge leap in the visuals at all. Sometimes it can brighten up a darker scene and enhance the contrast as well. Not a game changer, but certainly helps out in some sort of harder to work out what is actually going on scenes. And yes, that display does curve ever so gently around the edges of the TCL 20 Pro 5G, although not to an extreme fashion. And there is a dinky little sphincter cam notch right up at the top, right in the center, just like Samsung's recent Galaxy smartphones. And TCL has gunningly enhanced that display so everything stays clear and bright even when you're wearing shades, which I'm sure will come in handy at some point here in the UK. However, unfortunately, the refresh rate does top off at 60 Hz here on the TCL 20 Pro 5G. You've got no 90 Hz or even a 120 Hz option like some more affordable rivals do offer these days. And I gotta say, I really do miss the buttery smoothness of some of those rivals when I'm just like nipping about the UI. On the audio side, well, it's just a mono speaker, unfortunately, here on the TCL 20 Pro 5G. You don't get a stereo speaker set up. Let's boost up that volume, see if it's any good. Who suffered from serious overheating issues that actually, to be fair, made it rather pleasant to slip inside your pocket during those winter months. So yeah, reasonably loud on that top volume. The clarity isn't too bad either, but I'd stick with that bit of headphone jack action, otherwise the Bluetooth. And as well as a good bit of face recognition, you also have an in-display fingerprint sensor here on the TCL 20 Pro 5G, which is all reasonably fast. It's not the nippiest I've used, admittedly, but seems to be fairly accurate. Annoyingly, the always on display doesn't have a little fingerprint icon to remind you of where the little bugger is lurking though, so you have to sort of tap to get the little icon to pop up. Now, no worries on the performance front. You've got a Snapdragon 750G chipset in here, backed by 6 GB of RAM. The 750G is, of course, designed for gaming with the Adreno GPU boost, so the likes of Call of Duty Mobile, PubG will play on those higher detail settings. Absolutely buttery smooth frame rate, no worries. Had no issues with the screen responsiveness or stuff like that when I was playing the likes of Call of Duty, where of course you need those super fast reactions to actually survive more than 10 seconds against these little on their Easter break. And if you like blasting holes in complete strangers online when you're out and about as well, good news, you've got full 5G connectivity here with the Snapdragon 750G as well. You've got a 4,500 milliamp battery packed in here as well, and touch wood, that should last you all day. I've had lots of screen on time with the TCL since I originally set it up. I've been streaming lots of video, I played a good bit of Call of Duty of course, and touch wood, that battery hasn't drained too fast at all. And yeah, you do only get 18 watt wired charging, which is kind of lethargic compared with a lot of rivals, especially like even cheaper handsets around the £200 to £300 price point these days come with 33 watt wide charging. But the one advantage that the TCL 20 Pro 5G does have over a lot of smartphones around this sort of price point is the fact you've actually got wireless charging support built in there as well. 15 watts, in fact, so pretty respectable stuff. So now let's finish up this unboxing and hands-on review with the TCL 20 Pro 5G with a squint at that quad lens rear camera setup. And that main shooter is a 48 megapixel Sony IMX582 sensor. You do have built-in OIS as well, which is a first for TCL, and it seems like a reasonably fast shutter speed and a reasonably quick autofocus as well. And this does shoot 12 megapixel photos by default, but if you flick into the more section with all your extra bonus camera modes, you've got the high pixel option on there if you want it. You've also got a full pro mode as well, where you can play around with the likes of the ISO levels, the shutter speed, the white balance. You've also got a 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, which you can swap to at any point. As you can see, just by tapping this icon, you cycle between that and the primary sensor and a 2x digital zoom. There's no telephoto action here. You also have a 2 megapixel depth sensor for your portrait shots on there, and the pretty much obligatory 5 megapixel super macro lens as well. And speaking of super, there is a super night mode on board for when things get a little bit dim. This just captures stronger detail across the shot for a nice balanced finish. And if you want to shoot a home movie, you've got full HD at either 30 or 60 frames per second, or a good bit of 4K action too. And there's even an HDR option if you want to swap that on, but as you can see there, you can't use that at the same time as 4K. You've got to shoot at full HD at 30 FPS. And then last up, let's flip to the 32 megapixel selfie shooter, which is doing an absolutely fine job of capturing you in all of your splendor. You've got a good bit of portrait mode action with that as well, but not super night mode. Boo. And I don't know, I'm really torn about which one is the sexier photo, A or B. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Or maybe I'll just fucking delete both of them right now. So that in a nutshell is the TCL 20 Pro 5G, and as you can see, you get some nice features thrown in there, like the wireless charging. You got that 5G support and a really slick premium style design as well, which I really do enjoy. But you can of course these days spend a bit less on a 5G smartphone with strong specs just like this. If the 5G and the wireless charging support isn't a must-have for you, you can get the likes of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro for about half the price, which boasts a stunning OLED screen as well and pretty strong specs across the board. That's what I think anyway. Definitely be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and have yourselves a fantastic rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you.